Hi everybody, sitting here editing this video. I had to cut the sound down on the video because the tractor was so loud, but I figured I'd narrate some of this. Say hi to everybody. This, if anybody's wondering, is a 1967 Ford 4400 Industrial. It's a 3-cylinder diesel, and I'm getting ready to move the 52 up closer to the barn so that we can wash her down a little bit. I'd like to thank everybody that's subscribed to my channel. It means a lot, keeps me going with this video. And videoing this stuff is time consuming, but I want to document it, so it's well worth it one way or the other. Now let's see, I have a friend here. This is my friend Orlando. We always work together on stuff. Whatever we set out to do, we succeed in getting it done and making it work. He helps me with a lot of things. You might have seen him in another video that I did when we rolled that truck camper that was upside down. We rolled it back over. He helped me get it over and get it back up on the truck and get it out of there. And here we're just going to hook a chain to the front of the 52 white, and keep in mind the whole time this video is running that the drive shaft is disconnected and we have no brakes, so we have to be very careful not to let this truck get away from us. It's a lot heavier than what it looks. It actually, we parked it there, and I can't remember why, but for some reason we put some 2x6s or something like that underneath of the tires, the front tires, and I didn't realize that we did that until we pulled it out of this spot. It'd been sitting there, and it's heavy enough in the front end that it actually sank down in the ground and put those boards about 3 inches deep down in the ground. I didn't know they were there until we pulled the truck out and looked at the prints that it made in the ground. So pull the blocks out that are blocking the wheels, and I told him, I said, well, you know, that block's pretty close. When you turn the wheel, that rear axle is going to run right over top of that block, so we had to move it. I'm a little bit jealous. He's the first one to drive this truck, if you want to call driving it. He's the first one to drive this truck since I got it, and I gave him a little rundown on steering it with manual steering. I've drove quite a few trucks with manual steering. I used to run cross country with a truck that had manual steering. You get used to it. There's a technique, you know, you set yourself up properly and you don't work yourself to death. And here I'm trying to get it out of the imprint that the front tires made, but I didn't want it to take off rolling towards me. I was going to use the bucket on that front bumper to stop it if I had to. We got it moving. Well, when I turn the wheels on the tractor, the bucket goes kind of the opposite direction of what I want to go, so we have to reset everything. and had to tell Orlando, you know, hey, you don't have any brakes, you better throw that block back under that front tire. Not a very good place to be if the truck starts rolling. I've been doing a little bit of research. This truck is a 1952. It's a WC. The W stands for white. The C is actually, you know, the model, that series that they made, C model. It's a WC 26, and I found out that the 26 stands for 26 tons, which is 52,000 pounds. I found one of the old original cab cards in the truck when I got it off that vacant lot, and it actually was registered for 52,000 pounds. So it's a WC 26 PLTD, and I just recently found out that the PLT stands for payload tractor. So it's a 26-ton payload tractor, and the D, we are assuming that the D that they put on the end of it was because this particular model had a diesel engine. I also found out through some of the comments that people left, and I got to look, and I have an old manual. It doesn't give a lot of information, but the Cummins HRBB, and I don't know what the BB is, but the Cummins HR is not the original Cummins 672 cubic inches, I think. When they went to the HR, they made the engine 743 cubic inches. It's still only 2 valves per cylinder. Both the intake and exhaust manifolds are on the passenger side, the right side. Has no turbo. And I think, I'm not sure, I'll have to do some more research, but I think it's rated at 175 horsepower. Now, as you can see, we had to stop several times and kind of reset. Main thing with this truck, I have no idea how much it weighs like it sits, but it's pretty heavy. Everything about it's heavy. The main thing was to make sure that it didn't get away from us, because there'd be no way of stopping it. So here I'm just going to get the edge of the bucket up against the cross brace on the back. As we're sitting here talking about this, I'm having a cup of coffee. Grab yourself a cup of coffee and watch some of these videos. Now, I will let you know this. I spent probably a real good afternoon doing what we are doing here. You're going to see the first third of this video right now. I had to break it up into 3. There's just a lot of editing, and I didn't want to cut any over. I mean, I already cut it, but I didn't want to cut it and chop it all up. And I know it's probably a little boring, but I want everybody to know kind of what I'm going through to go through the process of getting this truck up and running, and it's going to be a while, but I can't wait for the day that I can take her out for a drive. That'll be so awesome. I've owned myself several semi-trucks. At one point in time I had 3. Kind of retired. I'm retired. I got burned out a little over 30 years. I got burned out with all the driving and missing out on the home time, and then when I got in business for myself, the paperwork never stopped. So this will be the last semi-truck that I own. I don't want to give too much away, not yet, until I decide what I'm doing, and that keeps changing. I did get another truck. It's not a semi, it's a straight truck. I'm going to see where that goes in the future, and it has a Cummins in it.
Okay. And I'll pull you back, and then when you get back, get your wheels turned.
Turn it this way.
Then when we stop, then you can go the other way.
Go the other way. Okay.
I would like to get this truck to the point where, oh, I don't know what you would call it, a daily driver. Probably won't be able to keep me out of it. Do we make mistakes? Oh yeah, we goof up. We'll see here in a minute. Now Orlando and I sat and kind of previewed the very raw video. As I was putting this together, we kind of looked it over, and we had a real interesting safety talk, like right here. Man, don't get between there. I mean, I know the frame would probably hit the bucket, but who knows? I mean, things happen, and this happened quite a few times. As I watched the video, you can see I'm standing outside of the bucket. But as I watched this video, we had a real serious talk about safety. There's nothing worth getting hurt over on something like this. So here I'm telling him, you know, about cutting the wheel, hand on the out. I'm not a big guy, but I was telling him about the hands on the steering wheel. When I ran trucks that had manual steering, if I was going to make a left-hand turn, I'd have to scoot myself slightly to the left in the seat and do left hand over, right hand under, just over and under on that side, on one side of the steering wheel. And of course, if you're turning the other way, it's scoot to the right and take your right hand on the outside of the wheel and follow it with your left hand on the inside and just keep cranking on her, you know. But you know, that any of you guys that drove trucks like that, and I'm sure there has been, I've seen some of the comments, you know, if the truck's not moving, you're not turning. It's just almost impossible. But I did ask him, I said, how did it steer? He said, it wasn't bad. He said it wasn't bad at all. When I was moving the truck, you could just wheel the wheel. But I think the thing over this whole setup is we missed our, what would you call it, our spot that we wanted to put the truck in. Because if you're used to driving all your life with power steering, and you get in a truck with manual steering and you turn the wheel a couple times, you think that's far enough, but in a manual steering truck with the gearbox geared so low, it takes quite a few turns on the steering wheel to get anything out of the steering axle. So we're going to put the block back under the wheel, make sure she don't get away from us. We wanted to keep the blocks handy. We have several there that we can use to block the tires with. And here I was probably a little bit too close to the frame to get my chain out. And you can see I'm wearing gloves. And I asked, said, "Where's your gloves at?" He says, "Oh, I think I left them in my vehicle." So we talked about safety equipment, gloves. When we get to working on this and using power equipment, we need safety glasses and things of that nature. I'm not taking any chances. So the idea here is square the tractor off with the truck, and we want to get that bucket turned down. You'll see the bucket turned down here in a minute. Yeah, right there. That's a good old tractor. I took the injection pump off of it and cleaned it out, completely disassembled it, redid it, put it back together, and I might have set it up just like a percent or two, just a hair, and then I put new injector nozzles in it, and it does a fair job. It's 1967, it's got some age on it. So here we plant that bucket down behind that behind the truck, just as a safety precaution. And I planted it down enough that I actually lifted the front tire off the ground a little bit.
Well, that wasn't that bad.
Oh,
No. We're going to use the tractor as
So
an emergency brake.
you got a break.
this is the first
That's why I dug it into the ground.
of 3 videos
Gotta put
that
this tractor.
I'm making out of this.
And I
So
don't think it's gonna go
keep watching, you'll see the next part, you'll see what I'm doing. I appreciate everybody. Thanks for watching.